An airplane that was flying from Atlanta, Georgia to Barcelona had to turn around mid-flight and come back to the United States because someone had explosive diarrhea right in the aisle. And there's video, and I'm not going to share it with you guys. I'm not going to subject you to it. But this was like... You remember like back in elementary school when there'd be the kid that like threw up in class?
Yeah.
And you'd have to walk by it to get out of the classroom. Like, and people would be like, you know, kind of like, oh God, I'm approaching it. I'm approaching it. It's disgusting. Why did I look?
Yep. You had to look, but you were also like, I'm going to throw up.
Which I feared who, and it was so taboo, you know, who the kid was that was going to puke in school. Because there was always one kid every school year that did it. And that's what they were going to be known as for the rest of their life. And guess who it was my senior year? Yeah, boy.
Nice.
Although I made it to a bathroom in time. But
I think I've thrown up in the hallway. I don't know.
Yeah. Nobody knew. I would have to tell people. It wasn't in front of anyone. I'm glad I made it. But with seconds to spare. Only seconds. But anyway... yeah, that's what this video is. This guy, like, he posted on Twitter. He's like leaving the airplane. And I'm like, dude, you don't have to show us this. You don't have to show us. You showed us. There's a lot. The floor is a different color. There's brown everywhere. Like whoever shit is an illness because it was bad. There was a lot. They just stopped. They knew it was happening and they just let it happen. And
right in the aisle,
right in the middle of the aisle. Were they
trying to go to the bathroom, or
I think they were trying to get to the bathroom, and they just didn't make it, and they just were like, "Well, this is happening," and they didn't even like. It wasn't even a trail; it was just a pile. It's in one that's a centralized location. It's just a pile of shit.
Yeah, they recycle that air.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
That's immediately going into the air filters.
Yes, it is a biohazard.
Yeah, there would be no area inside that enclosed space for anyone to smell not shit air.
Yeah, that sucks.
I think my favorite part, besides the audio I'm about to play, my favorite part is the flight attendants tried to cover it up with paper towels.
Oh.
See, that's just pure desperation.
Yeah.
It's like Adam Sandler and Big Daddy when he's covering everything with newspaper.
Yeah.
It doesn't even try to clean it up. You just cover it.
But there's nothing you can do at that point. Like you can try to like mix it up with other stuff, but it's still
mix it.
I mean, like Lysol,
pour the seltzer on it.
Yeah, it gets it out of the carpet.
We'll try to dilute it. You're better off just crashing the plane at that point. Like,
just give everybody a sickness bag at that point. You know, everybody take out your sickness bag.
Yeah.
You know, just breathe into it.
They didn't say how far the plane had traveled before I had to turn around. Like it would have sucked because at that point it's like, all right, you're at the halfway point. What do you do? If they made it like 3/4 of the way and they were much closer to Barcelona, do you just say, okay, everyone, you're just going to have to suck it up for the remaining like hour of the flight?
I don't know.
I mean, because it's not like it's legal to just like, open up a port and just drop the person and the diarrhea out of the plane while you're in midair. That's not right.
That's not cool.
Do that. No.
So, is there some sort of rule about like bringing sick people into like different places? Is that why they would have to do it?
Like quarantine them?
I don't know. I can't think of like why. Because if you're halfway there, like what's the difference between just finishing the flight?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Was there more to the story? Because like, was it like?
As far as we know, the plane was going to Barcelona, turned around, had to come back to Atlanta. There's no details about the person who did it, if it was a child, if it was an adult.
It sounds like an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if it was a child, then like, that's bad. But I don't think they would turn a plane around unless an adult voided an adult amount of adult.
Yes.
I mean, you never know.
On the floor.
Small creatures, small children included, can expel a lot from their bodies.
They can.
That is true.
Cats.
But imagine a being that has been alive for longer with organs that don't work as well anymore, that is voiding with, a lot more space.
Yeah. That has to be like...
Yeah, so...
Yeah, severe food poisoning. I would guess food poisoning, because like you have to be just all sorts of stupid to be very ill and still get on a plane. I mean, I know people do it, but if you've got some virus that has resulted in you shitting your pants, the last thing you're going to do is get on an airplane. No, you would have had to have eaten something at the airport, gotten on the plane, and then that brick just drops while you're flying.
Yeah.
Here is...
I really hope that the person's identity stays...
for their own sake, because, the internet's brutal.
I'm telling you, it was Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift did. She stood up, she shit everywhere, she had explosive diarrhea, turned around, smiled, and said, "Look what you made me do."
It's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
Oh no. And somewhere on the internet there is a fanfic that's the exact title and context.
Sorry, Taylor.
What Nate said or what I said?
Oh, both of those things, I'm sure. I mean, the internet's disgusting.
They're both separate stories.
Yeah, no, separate stories. Yeah, maybe there'll be a crossover. Who knows? Maybe someone will hear this and get inspired. I hope not.
Would you
Please
like to
don't tell us?
Would you like to read the story I wrote? It's about Taylor Swift having explosive diarrhea.
I mean, at this point, it's so easy. You could just put those into Chat GPT and there's your story.
Yep.
We could do it right now if we wanted to, but I'm not.
Here's the audio from the pilot announcing that they have to turn around.
This should
Negative. It's just a biohazard issue. We've had a passenger who had diarrhea all the way through the airplane, so they want us to come back to Atlanta.
All the way through the airplane. So this dude makes it sound like someone who's running from one end of the plane to the other in the aisle, just dripping.
So yeah, it is a biohazard.
Yeah.
So that's why they had to turn around. So at least we got an answer. It's like you can't go to another country with somebody with that.
Yeah, they won't even let you in, I guess.
The fecal matter is very bacteria infected.
Yes.
It doesn't go through customs.
Fecal matter. Human fecal matter.
Thank you, Johnny Depp.
Oh no.
It works perfectly, dude. It really does.
It's just a biohazard issue. We've had a passenger who had diarrhea all the way through the airplane, so they want us to come back to Atlanta.
Human fecal matter.
That's the newest drop.
At least he didn't say that. At least the pilot didn't say that someone dropped a grumpy in the aisle, because that's what Johnny Depp said.
I thought that some human being had actually dropped a grumpy.
I don't think you can call it a grumpy if it's like a disgusting river of filth.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's a different term at that point.
So he'd be grumpy, though. Everyone on the airplane.
It's a great mighty poo. Conker's bad for a day.
Conker's bad for a day.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious, because Conker was supposed to be a family-friendly character representing Nintendo. And then they decided, we have too many of these, so instead we're going to make Conker just all sorts of fucked up.
Yep.
I don't know what they were thinking. That was like that was another one of those games that was just like, this shouldn't be marketed to kids, and I'm a kid.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't be even thinking this sentence, but I'm thinking this sentence. I know that this should not be marketed to me right now, and that's a problem.
I had on the Game Boy, I had Conker's Pocket Tales, which was, delightful and kid friendly, and then like the following year, Conker's Bad Fur Day comes out, and the Great Mighty Pooh.
I
They-
am the great mighty Pooh. And I'm
wish they
going
would
to
remaster
throw
that
my
one.
shit at. They did.
They did?
They did?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Reloaded, right?
Reloaded.
Yeah. It's on, but they did that a long time ago, right? Like, it's on Xbox.
I mean, like, like, yeah.
Yeah. Last thought about this, if anyone like it was in the splash zone, if anyone like got hit with it, like depending on the force at which it was expelled from this person's body, if anyone like got hit with it, that would be a problem. That would be grounds for someone punching someone out. Like if you get shit on you, like human shit, then
that's not yours.
Right. If it's dog shit, if it's baby shit, that's one thing. But if someone like a grown adult staying next to you and they just shit and it gets on you, that is grounds for getting knocked out.
I wouldn't even be, I just would be so disgusted. I wouldn't have it in me to be angry.
Yeah, I would. I just feel like my first reaction would be, actually, my first reaction would have already noticed that something bad was happening and to make sure that I prepared myself for whatever was about to happen, because I feel like I would notice someone having an issue. But at the same time, you know, you really don't know what you do until you're in that situation and you're covered in someone else's doo.
Yep. Poop.
Yep.
Excrement. Let's pull up the old.
All I'll say is there's really nobody that like you don't like. I can't imagine anyone really felt like comfortable looking at each other in the face. Like it's one of those things that just like everybody just feels like, oh, we did something wrong happened. Like I should not have been born witness to this. Like it's funny when it's a joke. It's not funny when it's actually happening in front of you.
Yeah.
But it is funny when you can tell a joke about the people where it's happening in front of them because it's not you.
This would be a solid, no pun intended, number 7 on the Bristol stool chart, which is watery, no solid pieces, entirely liquid.
Tragedy plus time.
Okay, so there's that. And then we will go to another flight. This one, Air Canada, which I guess used to be a very reputable airline, and now they are comparable to Spirit, which isn't good.
That's not good. No.
According to people.com, Air Canada issues apology to 2 passengers escorted off plane after they had to sit in seats covered in vomit. So bits of the article I picked out here. Susan Benson, a passenger on the August 26th flight from Vegas to Montreal. So again, another international flight, although you don't have to cross water. So there's that. Went on Facebook to complain about what happened. She said that there was a bit of a foul smell on the plane. And someone on the flight before them vomited where they were struggling to get seated. So she says, apparently Air Canada attempted a quick cleanup before boarding, but clearly wasn't able to do a thorough clean. They placed coffee grinds in the seat pouch and sprayed perfume to mask the smell.
That's what I was talking about. Like that is worse. I feel it's worse because now you can associate those smells with horribleness.
Not only that, but the thing is, the same thing that makes bubblegum and cotton candy enticing, because you know they're amalgamations of like different cotton candy, but can't say cotton candy, but bubblegum at least is an amalgamation of different flavors that come together to make a thing. That's bad when it comes to bad smells, because that like everybody's accidentally caught a whiff of something that they've left in, like, you know, in their car for a little bit too long, or in the back of their fridge for a little bit too long, and it's different. You remember that smell, you taste that smell, and like I just like fresh, like not even fresh, but like stale fresh vomit, coffee grounds, and perfume. That's not gonna mix well.
No.
Yeah.
Those are the worst things you could use to cover it up.
Because there's probably like stale airline coffee grounds too. Like you don't know how, like probably the old, just, no. Like on a like, oh geez, like what's wrong with them? Like who thinks that you'd think that they would actually? I was just thinking, like in school, they had the janitor come around with like a bucket of like, I think it was like sawdust or like some kind of like powder compound, and like why don't they have that in those situations? You would think that it would make sense to have that.
Now all airplanes are coming with little tubes of Vicks vapor rub that you can put underneath your nose.
I mean, at this point, yeah, you should. That's it. And then you can't say it's a biohazard.
Yeah.
I'd argue this is also a biohazard because then Benson says in her post, it says Benson shared that, quote, the clearly upset passengers tried to explain to the flight attendant that the seat and seatbelt were wet and there was still visible vomit residue in their area.
That's getting a 1-star review on Yelp.
I hate when I'm sick and I have to touch my own gross stuff. So anyone else's, no. Done.
Right.
Yeah. Done. No.
I can't actually do it. Like
no.
My cat, when my cat has a hairball, I tried to clean one of my cat's hairball once and I was like, I had to run to the bathroom because I was like, oh, I'm just not good. I'm just not.
Anytime if Cooper pukes, I mean, yeah, dog vomit, but still having to clean it up.
I just can't do it.
Same thing with my cats.
It's tough.
Yeah, I do it, but like this, I think when I'm just saying it, that vivid flash of that smell just jumps back to me. It's like, yeah. So I can't imagine being in an enclosed space where the only air that's running is the same air that gets recycled. Where either of those things happen, it sounds awful. They need to give the flight attendants more training or like give them something, because that's totally on the airline to train their people to know how to deal with that situation. Because like, of course they're not going to feel like, oh, it's icky, they're not going to want to touch it, but like, you need to have some protocols in place, or at least have the right PPE so people can protect themselves and not have to touch it. Because like, I feel bad for anyone in that situation. The person that throws up on themselves, the person that has to go in that area afterwards after it's been cleaned, and the people that have to clean it. It just nobody wins. Yeah. Nobody wins in that equation, except for the bacteria.
Yeah.
So this. No, go ahead, Nate. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it had to have been one of those situations where it was like, we have a full flight. It's gonna cost us like, I can't even imagine how much money planes make, because like tickets can vary from like $200 to $1,000 per seat.
Yeah.
So it's just like, just think about that. And you're like, there's one chair, maybe even two chairs with vomit on it. And everybody on the plane has bought $1,000 ticket. It's like, that's like $200,000 that you're saying goodbye to because of just two seats. I would, but I can't imagine being that person in that predicament to be like $200,000 because somebody for like two chairs.
Yeah.
I wonder how often they clean the surfaces of the chairs.
Aren't they supposed to do it between every flight? Especially since COVID.
I think so. They
have to do like a full blown.
Probably.
Because I know that when I have flown, there's always been like a slight delay, but it's because they're cleaning down the plane between flights. And that's probably because, again, we're talking about the Canadian version of Spirit. They don't want to delay. They don't want to harm their reputation. So they harm their reputation by not delaying and making people sit in fresh puke. So the story gets better. But do you guys remember back when we were in middle school, they had the late bus?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
So the late bus was if you stayed after school for whatever reason, like detention or got like an extra help session or some sort of extracurricular. If you weren't picked up by a parent. You were subjected to take a bus that would drive all over town and take like 3 hours to drop everybody off, because it wasn't just like one bus that stuck to one route. It was like a town-wide bus. I learned a lot about the town in which we lived because of this bus. And this was also my parents, because I had such a normal upbringing that my parents would force me to stay after school for extra help sessions that were nothing but a waste of time, but then refused to pick me up. Like, oh, there's a bus that can take you home. Fuck you for being alive. So I'm on this bus one day, and this girl, I guess, is suffering from a migraine, and she just spews. And I'm sitting like towards the front of the bus, so I'm not like, I didn't see it, I didn't hear it, but it happened fairly early into the ride where we all had to basically sit and endure this for the whole ride. And I remember when that smell hit, because it just like, you could see it was hitting like row by row, making its way to the front of the bus. And you could see like sort of the cascade of everyone going, ah, and they're like lifting their shirts up to cover their nose. And I'm like, oh God, here it comes. Ah, there it is. It's horrible. And the bus wasn't like brought back to the school. We had to sit and endure the whole ride with just festering emesis just there. And that was torture. That was absolute fucking torture. And that's like any like, I'll go back to what do I remember about the late bus? I remember there was that, and then some kid like they won't bring the bus back because someone vomited on it. But they will bring the bus back because some kid has an absolute meltdown and is like throwing punches and like needs to be dragged off the bus by the principal. And then the principal ends up like riding with us the whole way back. And he ends up just hanging out with his kids. And we learned that not only is he a fan of Seinfeld, but he's also a very broken man. Bam, 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 bam. And he's using us for therapy. Like he's using a bunch of 13-year-olds for therapy. Oh. Yeah, that's fun.
Not a life.
Boy, that was just fun. So you like Seinfeld, do you?
All right, so I have to throw this question because everybody listening is dying to know.
Sure.
If you had to pick a flight, which one?
I would say the vomit one because that was seemingly centralized to one location, and you're using coffee grounds and perfume to mask the smell, but it's probably not as extreme as someone who went down the full length of the airplane aisle shitting their pants violently.
Okay. So, yes, but let's remove that from the equation.
Okay.
Let's make this a true equal would you rather. Would you rather be stuck on an airplane filled with vomit or stuck on an airplane filled with shit?
Are you saying like you're just, while you're in the plane, you're just waiting in a pool of either?
Not like fully, but like, like there's equal, it's an equal amount of shit and an equal amount of vomit.
Honestly, dude, I'd have to go with vomit because like, yeah, that shit smells bad, but then there's also the smell of shit. And that can be pretty fucking overpowering.
Okay.
Oh.
This is the fun
part. Can I just die?
That is actually one of the options.
God, being on a plane where that is your choice. I mean, at that point, you're praying that your plane's going to get flown into a building. And that would be the better option.
I feel like I would eventually be able to deal with the smell of the vomit.
Yeah.
But the shit would be too much to deal with.
Yeah. I think we all are in agreement. I tried to make it as difficult of I'm famously bad for would you rather's because like there's clearly always like well duh like there's clear it's like would you rather drink piss or non-refrigerated water?
Yeah.
There's clearly one.
I recall stepping in it was a bathroom at a grocery store that I think someone had just like recently spewed in because I had a certain stench that you don't normally smell, and it was very sour, and in hindsight it had to have been vomit. But like, yeah, that was pretty bad. But I've also stepped inside a bathroom at any airport ever, and yeah, I think I'd rather take the vomit.
Okay.
You know, that's one of the reasons why whenever I go into an establishment and the men's bathroom's actually clean and smells clean, I'm like, good job.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Respect to anyone listening who is a nurse, because remember, this is their life on the reg, and they're just used to it.
Yep.
But I said the story gets better. It does get better. Okay. So anyway, so now we just have the women here who are upset with the flight attendants because they're being told you have to sit in a seat that is covered in vomit. And then they were given, they were, quote, reluctantly given blankets, disinfecting wipes, and vomit bags, which is kind of ironic, don't you think? They were told that they could sit on these. These women were not too happy with that prospect. So then the pilot approaches them. Pilot walks, according to the article here from people.com, pilot walks down the aisle to their section where he, quote, calmly knelt down and told them they had two choices. They could either leave the plane. Now, I guess the plane hadn't taken off yet. So they were told they could deplane and organize new flights on their own dime, or they could be escorted off the plane by security and placed on a no-fly list. And
what?
They were told, they asked why, and they were told they were being rude to the flight attendants.
That's ridiculous.
Because they didn't want to sit on a chair that was clearly thrown up on when you guys should be cleaning your inside of your cabin thoroughly, especially if someone threw up on a chair that another person has to sit on, but they're going to be put on a no-fly list. Yeah, that's welcome to 2023, where now we're talking about it on a random podcast.
Yeah, that's a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the pilot apparently the pilot heard them say they were terrorists, and that's how he construed it. So I'm not saying it's actually the case. It just seems like the pilot's just a sack of human garbage.
A douchebag? Yeah.
Yes.
He sounds like a douchebag.
The pilot is no better than the puke on the seat. So Air Canada told CNN, the Associated Press, and the Washington Post in a statement that they have issued an apology to the passengers, quote, as they clearly did not receive the standard of care to which they were entitled.
And
that's it.
That's it?
Yeah. They're
come on.
Probably working with them to get them what, like miles or a voucher?
Yeah.
Something stupid. If anyone's at fault here, I mean, yeah, maybe the flight attendants are working with what they have, right? Okay.
Of course. Okay. Yeah.
I get that. They're limited in what they can do because the post here, I don't know if I mentioned it, but the post does mention, Susan Benson's Facebook post does mention that the flight attendants were apologetic and that they spoke to more than one flight attendant, and the flight attendants at least could show some sympathy. It's like, dude, come on. We know. What can we do? We're stuck. It's the pilot who cranked this up to 11 when that didn't need to be the case. Like, I get the guy's impatient and just wants to get off the ground and fly people home, but like realize potential biohazard issue.
Just the fact that you can comfortably say to two people, like, your choices given this scenario are those two choices,
right?
Like I can't even. I would be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like I would be embarrassed. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I will personally make sure that you get a new flight and it's you get your money back for this flight and the next flight is paid for, first class, whatever. Like I would be saying that instead of like, what the hell is your problem?
Right.
Like essentially.
I would take it one step further. I mean, I know in this day and age, it is not as easy to get into the airplane cockpit.
You ever been in a cockpit before?
Ever since 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
But, hey, Mr. Pilot, see how you like it. Go in, stick your fingers down your throat, puke all over the pilot's seat, make him sit in it.
Fair.
Now,
if that's his attitude.
Even better, just throw up right in front of the cockpit door, so he has to step on it.
Or do one better, throw up on the pilot.
Yeah.
Things that'll get you on a no-fly list.
At that point, that's a hill you're willing to die on. Like, okay, well,
yeah. That's worthy of like no-fly list. Not like, I didn't want to sit and vomit. Okay, you're banned from airplanes. It's like,
that's kind of a gross overreaction.
You know who it was who both shit all over the airplane and then vomited all over the airplane? It was this individual.
That motherfucker back there is not real.
No,
that lady.
She's too pretty to poop or puke, according to Jack.
Hey, you never know. There's a market for everything.
True.
You never know. It could be that apparition she saw that did it.
Something strange is going on.
So there you go. A story of shit and a story of puke.